So go ahead to download this Android Studio, okay? And so I'm going to click and then take me to the Android Studio, and then of course I think it recognizes your platform. Go ahead to download and install. So I think the default version will work. But if you encounter options, definitely check the SDK and make sure the Android Studio SDK is checked. But I think if you just let everything that it run with the default installation, it should be fine. Okay, so go ahead to install Android Studio. And I'm going to wait until everyone is done with this part before we proceed. Okay, good. Let me know if you are all done. Okay. And then for those of you who are done, you can certainly, this is not required. Okay. Xcode, it's a really huge package. And I believe it does require a license. And so I think even if you want to do it today, you probably have to wait until you receive the developer license. Download. Oh, you can go for free. At one point, I realized it wasn't possible. Maybe now they allow you to download. But in order to publish, you do need a license. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, this is the optional. You don't have to do it today. And so I don't want to really introduce complexity here. Okay. But later, when you do it, if you are going for Xcode, you definitely want to select the iOS, right? There are emulators and things related to the mobile development that you need from this installation. Okay. And then, so let me make sure everyone is done with the Android Studio, okay, before we continue. And I do want to know problems if there are problems, okay, so that those online students will benefit from it. So everyone is done with Android Studio. That's great. Looks like no problem with this part. Okay, so let's continue to Git. I think Git with the latest Mac, I think, it comes with Xcode. So if you already have Xcode, it's there. But if not, you can download from the link page. Okay. So on Mac OS, there are a number of options. Okay. So Brew is what I usually do, but there are other ways to do it. Of course, if you have already Xcode installed, it also comes with Git. Brew. Obviously, if you don't have Brew yet, you also need to install Brew. So just search for installation of Homebrew on your Mac. Okay, if you're on Mac. If you're on Windows, I believe there is a package to download and install. Okay, so let me stay here and make sure everyone is ready with Git. Now, if your Git installation is good, you're good? Okay. Good. You can take this time? Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. If your Xcode is already there. Okay, so you guys are good. I think you are all prepared. That's good news. Hopefully everyone online is also kind of well prepared for this part as well. So now you have Git. Of course, later we're going to test whether your Git is working or not. Right? Now, VS Code. Again, open it, the VS Code. Okay. And again, it's going to detect your platform. And download and install VS Code again. Just go with the default option. There are a few plugins we need to install after VS Code is ready. So you have your VS Code. Are you installing or you already have your VS Code? Okay. So you all have your VS Code. Do you also have your VS Code? VS Code? Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, that's great. So you can proceed. Yeah. Nowadays I use VS Code for everything. All my documentation, even for my administrative work, for teaching, for research, you name it. So okay. Now we have the VS Code. Now Node.js. So go to nodejs.org. Okay. This is the website. Okay. And then make sure you download Node.js. Okay. I think for people familiar with Homebrew or Brew on Mac, you can also install Node.js from Network. There are different ways to install, but I think it's safe to use this version. Okay. So it's a long-term stable version, LTS. Node.js is really the environment with all the tools that we need. When it comes to React, right? We need the tools to help us not only create the code but also to run and test. Okay, all the tooling should be part of it. Okay? This is increasingly important. Okay, so install Node.js. Okay, let me know. Signal me if you have time. Good. Okay. Node.js. No problem. Let's continue from here. This is something I don't want you to do, okay? Okay. So, simply because it depends on your environment, and some people can encounter issues. So, I'm going to do a little more here, okay? So, if you have this, don't do this, okay? If you already have done it and you have no problem, that's okay. If you encounter any issues later, when we try things, I would ask you to uninstall this part. Okay? I to get rid of the React native CLI. CLI is for the command line interface. Okay? Because we are going to instead use Xcode. And sometimes because of different versions, there may be issues. Okay? Of course, if you encounter no issue, that's okay. Okay? But if you do encounter issues later on, then okay, but now you don't have to do it. Then I'm going to say you do the uninstall. Okay, but we'll see. Okay, so this is something you do not need. Okay, let me emphasize for online students: don't do this. Do not do this part. Okay, and then let's continue. Okay, so I think we already installed the Android Studio, right? Let's double check, right, whether the emulator is ready. Okay, so I already have the emulator, but I'm going to close everything just so that we can start from scratch. Okay, so I'm going to just close my emulator, and then go to your Android Studio. Okay, so open your Android Studio, and let's see if I can make this. Remember, there's a zoom key, shortcut to zoom in a certain section, but it doesn't work. Is it clear enough? Oh, let me open this. So under more options, actions, there's a virtual device manager. Okay, so go to virtual device manager. I hope this is clear for when it's recorded. And then it's going to show you some virtual devices. Obviously, you can install many different virtual devices if you like. Versions with higher resolution than latest devices. Certainly, feel free to install them. Just notice that when you use the latest devices, it's going to be more demanding of resources. So I think the default should work just fine. Okay. So and then to open it, just click on this play button, this triangle, to start. Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to do this an arrow, so I may have to restart. anyway, it starts. It will be a separate issue. Okay, and I already have my app. Okay, and so these buttons are just here to simulate certain, go back to home and or you want to rotate the device and or take pictures and things like that, decrease the volume. But this is of course simulator of your mobile phone. Okay, so if your emulator is there, I think it's ready. Later, when we create our first app, we should be able to deploy it to this device. And then we can also test whether your phone can also have it up and running as well. Okay, so everyone have this emulator running. That's great. This so far it's been more smoother than I expected, so that's great. Hopefully for online, I expect the same. Otherwise, it's going to take me some time to help them. So okay, so we have the emulator that's super great. Now let's see what is our next step. This one, not this one. Okay, yeah. Right now I skip the iOS. Okay, and then okay, React Native tools. Okay, these are some of the extensions. This is a required extension that you have to have. Okay, in VS Code. So let's go there. Okay, so in your VS Code, and you have already. Okay, install your VS Code and then go to this is the extension, right there. The extension, and then search for React Native tools. And hopefully the first one should be the one that you install. Okay. So the first one that is certified, okay, React Native tool. So go ahead and install this. And this is the required tool. And then there are a couple of I would say lint is less important. That's not part about this lint for now. But I would recommend that you install this prettier, okay? Because certain configuration files in JSON is easier to read and access, which is prettier formatted. Okay, so again, search for just prettier, and again, it should be the first one. So install prettier there. Okay, so these are the two plugins. Okay, so I assume everything is okay. And so right now you should have all the basic softwares installed. Okay, on your and these are some of these. Okay, Node, actually not React Native CSI. Again, I want to say to everyone, this is not we are using. Okay, at least for this class, practically you could use it if you can make it work. It's good, but we are going to use something easier in this class. And then you have the emulator and you have the VS Code with extensions, and hopefully your GitHub is ready. But whether your GitHub is truly ready or not, we'll see. Okay. Of course, you have done already projects with GitHub. I suppose it's working. But for those of you who doesn't use GitHub on a regular basis with VS Code, there may be some additional setup. Okay, especially when it comes to the authentication. Okay, so there is the software packages. And again, just a reminder, I think I want to show the online students that I distributed this checklist to everyone in class. And so for online students, you should also look at this checklist to make sure that you have everything, okay, on your computer. Okay, so if you are here, I think you are about ready to create your first app, right? So unless there are other questions or issues, I think we can go ahead. And let me close this one. So that's good. One less thing to worry about. And let's move next. So close this one. Then there is like the first app. Okay, good. Okay. So let me go back to the very beginning. Okay, so there are two files. Okay, so in the code shell. Okay, so now we are done with the basic setup. Let's go with your first React Native app. Okay. And there are two files. I strongly recommend you use the first file, Xcode. Okay, so this is the recommendation. Okay, if you know how you do it, the second approach, if you're confident, no problem. But if not, especially for online students, I couldn't really look at the screen. So I strongly suggest you go with the first recommendation. Okay, so open this one, and let's go through some of the basic steps, and then we are going to go to our terminal to do the work. Okay, so let's go to our slides. Okay, so first React Native app with Expo, the simple approach. So we are going to first create a repository on GitHub. Okay, so does everyone have a GitHub account yet? Everyone has it. Okay. Now let's go ahead, and I know Israel has already done it for this class. Now I encourage you, and I ask you to go to GitHub, sign in your account, and then create a new repository. Make it public. Okay. And then you can call it any name. You can call it info 670 apps or whatever. Okay. This is going to be the one repository. You can create multiple apps under this project. Okay, that's fine. But in the future, if you want to create a new project, of course, welcome to do that. But essentially, one project, one repository should be enough. Okay, one public repository. So just give it a name, description, make it public, and I would prefer that you also include a README. So there should be a checkbox for you to include a README file and then create a repository. So let me go there, and just to show the online students, right? So I already signed in on my GitHub, and I can click on new, right? And then I can call this something like info 670 apps. Okay, uppercase, lowercase, it's up to you. Okay, then make it public, add a README, right? Everything else is up to you. Template actually may be a good idea. Let me see. Java with the JS. Okay. Right. See.
Install React Native, it comes with a template.
That's it?
Or like when you install it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably. Yeah, but this is not super important. Okay. So for certain files, it's about certain files in JavaScript project. There are certain files with extension we try to ignore, which is like if you don't ignore them, it can be annoying because it creates these files automatically, and you have to fight to kind of get rid of them. But it's not a big deal. Okay. And then license is really also up to you. As long as you make it public. The reason I want you to make it public is that it's easier for me to access, for the classmates to access. Then when there are issues, we can also look at code and comment or provide support. Right. Okay. So now create the repository, and that should be it. Right. So you have a repository. Now the next step, And now, let me ask the class this question, and then of course I will offer also some instruction for the online class. What kind of authentication do you do when you clone or sync your repository to your local computer? Is it password based or is it based on the SSH? SSH. Okay, let me actually show you a way to do it. SSH. I think this is, I'm not sure if it's a requirement now or is it an option. Because I think GitHub changed it a couple of years ago for people. So I have to find out is it under settings or I also need to figure out my profile settings. Yeah, okay, I missed it. So under your settings, and then I don't want to open it, but under your password authentication, okay, there is a way to create your key and an SSH authentication, okay. And if you don't know how to do it, it actually provides a link on that page, okay, for you to click on the link and it will give you instructions. So how do you create the key, generate the key, and then enable your agent, SSH agent, so that you can start kind of the secure communication and authentication with GitHub, so that you don't have to enter your password again and again and again, okay? Because you have the SSH key. The key is essentially your password, okay? So I assume this is done. And again, for online students, if you have troubles with this, send me an email and let me know. Okay, I can try to help you solve this problem out. Assuming your key is set up, your authentication with GitHub is no problem. Now the next thing is ready to go to code. Okay, so once you're on the repository page, go to code, and then again, assume your SSH authentication is done. I want you to copy this thing, okay, under SSH, and just copy URL. Okay, now let's go back to terminal. And of course, on Mac, you can use the terminal. On Windows, there's also a terminal, but I think, I believe it's more universal to use the VS Code terminal. Okay, so I hope I can show you. So under View, go to Terminal, okay, or you can use the shortcut here, okay, which is Control and then backward. Backward is the key under the escape, okay, at the top left corner. Okay, so either way, you open the terminal, but be careful where you are. Okay, so on the terminal, so my setup, and let me see if I can make this bigger so people can see it more clearly. Okay, and so PWD is to show your current directory. So on Mac, this is my directory structure. Users WK documents. All my documents are here. So from all my Git repository, I create a Git folder. This is kind of a parent folder for all the repository I need to have locally. Okay, so make sure you go to kind of the parent directory where you want to copy this repository. Okay. Actually, there are also a couple of things I want to show you. I don't remember everything exactly. So again, so I think Git global set username. Okay. I think there are a couple of commands we want to do beforehand. I think they're right here. Okay. So if you have not done this, okay, then it's a good idea to assuming all your Git repository are from GitHub under the same username and email. Okay, so you want to use Git config and then -- global, and then user.name and then quote unquote your full name. And then the second command is config / global user.email, and then whatever email that you use to log in to GitHub. This will make sure that your Git environment recognizes which account is used to do the communication. I'm going to show you here, but I'm not going to. I don't need to do it anymore because I already set it up. Okay? So this is basically git config and global. Global. This is to say that for the entire PC here, okay, all the others are going to use this configuration. And I think there's a username. Double check. Name, right? Okay, and then okay, and then you can hit enter. Okay, so this will set the environment variable, and then so this is one for the username, and I think the other one is a user email. Okay. So user email, and then my email that I use for GitHub is actually my personal email. Okay, Gmail. So I use that, but depending on which one you use to sign in, or what you want the Git environment to remember, just use that. Okay, so there is no confusion. So do these two commands, okay? And this is actually what you can do later, but I prefer you do it now, okay? And now we are ready to clone the repository. So just type in the terminal, okay? Just type git clone, okay? And then Command B or Control V, okay? Command V on Mac, Control V on PC. Copy the link, right? Then you just copy to paste. Okay, so whatever you copy from here, okay, you paste after git space, clone space, and then the entire URL. Okay, hit enter, and if your SSH authentication is done all correctly, it should be able to pull everything and create a local copy, okay, here. So now, of course, if it's your first time loading anything in the VS Code, you may go to File and say, let me open or add a folder to the workspace, okay, and you can add the parent folder, okay, to the workspace, or if you want to add individual folder, that's okay too. But you can anyway. Okay, so this is one. Now, once you add that folder, you will be able to see this project. Okay, so first thing I would like to do is that minimize the terminal. I open the README, and I'm going to just make a minor change, okay? And the purpose is that so that let's make some changes, make sure we can commit the change and push the change back to repository to make sure everything is really okay, right? So once you make the change, save it, Control S or Command S to save it, and then if your Git is really working, your VS Code should be able to pick that up. Okay, so under source control, right? Under source control, I have a number of other things, but under your new repository, and let me make this window slightly greater. Okay, so this is the info670 apps repository that we have cloned. And now, because we changed the README, it says these are the changes, but they are unstaged. Okay, so depending on your configuration, there are many ways to do it. Okay, the formal procedure is that you can click on this plus to stage each change for all the changes here, because these are unstaged yet. And then after you stage, you commit. Okay. Or, as I do here, I can actually, and the first time you will probably ask you whether you want to stage all changes and commit. But what you can do is, you can say add name, right, to the to the README and then click commit. I think the first time you'll probably ask you, do you want to stage all the changes? And you just select yes. And then make a checkbox or something for you to say, okay, do it automatically next time. Okay, I think usually when you want to commit, you want to stage the changes. And so that makes sense for my workflow. Okay, so once you see this, that means the changes have been staged and committed, but not to the GitHub yet. Okay, so they are committed to the local copy of the repository. Right? If you want the changes to be reflected on the GitHub, the central repository, not to the master branch, then you do need to sync. Okay? And so right now it's one direction because I think because you change locally, nothing is changed from the server. So let's just click on sync changes, and that change should go to GitHub, and then if you refresh this page, you should be able to see your name. Okay, so that is just a simple sanity check to make sure that your GitHub communication, authentication with the VS Code is fully functional. Okay, any problems so far? All good? Okay, you guys are good. Okay, so no problem, and I will proceed. Okay, so now I think GitHub is great, and let's go back. Okay, so let me again go back to my slide just to guide us in this process. So now we have done the project on GitHub and authentication. This is actually the link I was talking about. If this is the first time you try to clone something from GitHub and for your own repository, you do need to set up SSH keys, and this is the page that you follow in order to do that properly. Okay, so do this before you clone your repository. Okay, so after the SSH key or password setup, you clone the project as we just did. Okay, and so now the project is there. Let's start to create our first app. Okay, so we are going to initiate a new Expo project. Okay, so Expo is just the name of the company who created this technology to support native development and make things much easier. Okay, so we are going to give it a try. Okay, and sometimes if you don't have everything yet, you will require some additional setup. That's so what I'm going to do is to use npx, which is part of your Node.js setup. Okay, this is about the extension for Node package management, and then there is a module for create Expo app, and you provide the name of the app. So what we're going to do is go to cd into the info670 app directory. Okay, the root of the repository directory, and then create the app. Okay, we want to create the app inside the directory so that your code will be able to push the code back to the directory. Okay, so let's go there, and again let's use the terminal in VS Code. Okay, so again I'm going to check where I am. I'm under Git, so I need to go down into info60 apps. So cd space info670 apps. Okay, and now I'm there. I'm going to run npx and then create Expo app. Let me double check this. And then you can call it anything. I'm going to call it my first React native. Okay, and I hit enter. So hopefully everything will be smooth. But at this point, I'm going to make it smaller so you can see what's going on. Okay, so it's going to install things inside the folder, support the environment with dependencies and things that are necessary for it. Okay. So now the project is ready. There are updates for your kind of Node.js environment. Go ahead and update. But for now, if they are just some application problems, some vulnerability, not super dangerous or important. You can take care of it later. Now, you can write it in this way, but there is a different way I would like to write it using Xcode. And so when this is created, you're going to see some existing code like this. Let's actually go back to the for the VS Code and take a look at app.js. Okay. So inside the app.js, okay, this is the code to create your first app. Okay, so let's run it, and then you will see by looking at the code and compare it to the output of the screen, you see what it means. Okay, so let's go to the next. So now let's go into this app directory and then run npx expo start. Okay, and that is going to start environment. Now, before you start, make sure your emulator is open and running. Okay, that will make things more smooth. So let me go to the. So again, right now, again, see where we are. We are under this parent directory. But if you take a look at what is down there, right, we create this new directory for new app. So we need to enter the directory cd space my first React Native and then npx expo start. Okay. So start this. And let me see, back. Okay, so you don't see the app yet, okay, but you do see some menus, and you can read the menu to figure out. Okay, let me minimize it so we can see the impact of our action. Okay, so there are some basic menus. There are more. If you type question mark, and show you all the comments. These are the major ones. Okay, you see, press A to open Android. Okay, so let's try A to see if we can load our app. Okay, so hopefully it's going to load our app in the emulator. Okay, so looks like it's up and running. Okay, inside the emulator, and there are a number of tools that you can use. And so, for example, it's J. And so when you see I also want to access control. Let me allow it for now. And then I will say that you can also, on the command line or on the terminal, you can try to hit J. Okay. If you hit J, it's going to open up the debugger. Okay. This is actually very similar to the web development tools. Okay. That you probably are already familiar with. You have done web development for a while, right? The console, the network, the elements. So you can actually inspect the same things as if you are developing a web application. Okay? So the same tooling that hopefully you are already familiar with is still here. Okay? So this is a very important tool when it comes to debugging, testing, and others. Okay? So this is what ultimately you will rely on in this development. So, but you can close it for now. And of course, there are many other commands that you can try. Okay, let's continue. So I think we had our first app, and so hopefully you see that this is something you should, if not entirely something you are familiar with, it should still look familiar given your prior experience. Either React.js or other tools. And so you see that, that this text is a component, right, that you can import from the React Native library, and you can use it to construct something as a label, right, on the screen, which is what you see here. So if your app is still running, this actually allows you, of course, to make changes to the code and be able to kind of do it, right? So right there, So let's make just some minor change. So for example, I'm going to just change it and then put my name in there. Okay. So this is just also just a test whether all the changes that we made will be reflected on the screen. And if something goes wrong, again, the debugging tool, the debugger, with the J, will allow you to look at the console, among other things, to see what goes wrong. Because this is really JavaScript, right? So any problem will all trickle down with JavaScript problems, or sometimes it can be HTML problems with the others. Right? So this is a tool that you can use to figure things out, okay, while you are testing and developing the app. Okay, so and this is actually, if you are so far, okay, if you are seeing this and can make changes, the changes are there on the screen of your mobile phone, you're good. Okay. So additionally, I just want to quickly also show you that you see the barcode here, of course, is also this is supported by the Expo app, and so on your phone, you'll be able to go to the Expo Go, either from, I believe it works on both platforms, okay, Android and I think Android by iOS as well. And then you can scan the barcode and debug it out and of course test it on your actual device. Of course, the technology is that they created this Expo environment and everything is hosted inside. But because it's a replication of the real environment, so once you test it and make sure everything is working, you should be able to actually build the system, deploy it as an independent app. Okay? You don't need the Expo environment. This is good for the testing of the development process. Okay? So I think it's truly a blessing to have this tool. I think it simplifies, if not the development, at least for my teaching. So it's good, and I think we should take full advantage of this tool. So that is about the first example.